All right. It's here. It's out. And I watched it. I think I watched it about 10 times. I woke up and I wanted to take a moment before I watched it. I didn't go on Twitter immediately. I checked my fantasy football lineup just for a second because I knew that I was going to spend probably the rest of the morning looking at that. I mean, I woke up at around 9:40, 9:50ish, watched the trailer at 10, and for an hour just read up about people's thoughts on the trailer. I rewatched the trailer. I wrote down my thoughts on the trailer. Then I showered and got ready to record, so I'm recording this around noon. Whew. You guys know I was very excited for this. I don't think I've ever been more excited for a movie in my life. Last time I was this excited for a movie was The Batman. It was really the last time I was uber excited for a movie. Then before that, Spider-Man No Way Home. Then before that, probably Endgame and Infinity War would be the ones. I was really excited for Spider-Verse too. But when I was younger, I got really excited for the Lego movie, and that lived up to the hype, obviously. But I genuinely think this is the most excited I've ever been for a film. And part of it is because there's so much in it, right? Launching the new DC cinematic universe, if it's successful, and I've been kind of on a DC kick as of late. Like, obviously, I can't get enough of the X-Men. But overall, I've been more intrigued with DC's characters over the last few months. I kind of flip-flop between Marvel and DC. When I was younger, I was a big DC guy. It was actually one of the first things me and my best friend, Merrick, one of my best friends, one thing we first bonded over was we rode on the bus. We sat by each other on the bus, and we were talking about superheroes, and I was like, well, I like DC best. And he's like, well, so do I. And I was like the only kid I knew at the time that liked DC the best. Because at the time, I mean, if you liked DC, it's because you were watching stuff other than the MCU. Like you were watching cartoons with them, like Teen Titans or even Teen Titans Go, or you're watching Batman cartoons, or you're watching some older movies. If you were just watching the stuff coming out at the time, you were going to be a Marvel fan as a kid, right? So that was big. My buddy liked DC. That was kind of one of the first things we bonded over. And then over time, he liked Marvel also, but DC always remained his favorite. For me, I kind of flipped around. I went to Marvel sometimes. Marvel's been my favorite at times. DC's been my favorite at times. But really, since like I don't know, since like X-Men 97, since I finished watching X-Men 97, I was like in a brief, Marvel's my favorite period. But then after that, I went back to DC. Earlier this year, I read All-Star Superman. I was hot into DC then. But yeah, that brief period this fall when I watched X-Men 97, Marvel was back to being my favorite. But I think it's good to flip-flop back and forth. But at the moment, I think DC, in the last, 3 years, I've been into DC more than I've been into Marvel. Just been more intrigued by their characters and their stories as of late. And part of that is Superman. I've always really liked Superman, but I kind of came to the point where I was like, oh, I think he's my favorite DC character. And that was because I always really liked Batman. But as I grew older, I really became kind of a Superman guy. And I thought about when I was younger and I would watch those original Christopher Reeve films, how much I enjoyed 1 and 2 especially. Superman 2 is probably a top 10 favorite superhero movie of mine. I love Superman 2. And I watched the shit out of those movies. I loved those Superman movies with him. I remember I watched 3 and 4 and was very disappointed by both. I think 4 is a little better than 3. I'm sorry, Richard Pryor, but 3 is bad. 4 is pretty bad too, for what it's worth, but started reading more Superman comics, watched Superman the animated series, and kind of came to the conclusion that is the best Superman version, like adaptation there is. I think James Gunn's pulling from that heavily. And you can tell he really likes that vibe because you watching this trailer, that's part of what it reminded me of, is that vibe. With not the exact, it's not a one-to-one, but I could, if he's taking from a lot of things, right? He's taking from those original Christopher Reeve films. He's taking some stuff from Man of Steel. He's taking some stuff from Superman, the animated series. I'd say the animated series is the biggest influence. But even then, I mean, there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of Christopher Reeve in this trailer. But I think now it's time to actually get into my notes of it. As far as my thoughts overall, you guys know I loved it. You guys know I cannot wait for this movie. And we'll start with what I wanted from the trailer. My biggest concern was that it was going to be too short. So they released that like little teaser for the trailer yesterday. And it was just everybody looking up as Superman. And it said, look up. And I was like, oh, that's all it's going to be, isn't it? It's going to be just everybody looking up, Superman lands, that's it. And you'll see Lex looking up, you'll see Lois looking up, you'll see Jimmy looking up, you'll see Perry White looking up, you'll just see all the characters looking up. And there's Superman. That's what I was concerned about. And I was like, that's not bad. You're building the hype. I get it. And then last night around, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock, I guess it's more evening or afternoon, James Gunn's like, no, the trailer is like 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. And there's only one shot from that little teaser we put out yesterday that's going to be in it. So I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Then my concern became, what if they give too much plot away? I don't want to know what's happening in this movie. I really don't. When I think about best trailers for superhero movies ever, the top one that comes to my mind is the Batman trailer. The first Batman trailer from DC Fandom, late 2020. That was perfect. We understood the Riddler was the villain. It was going to be heavily inspired by like Seven and crime movies like that. Nirvana was playing in the background. We understood how Pattinson was going to be as Batman. That was it. We didn't know what exactly the plot was. We just knew Riddler was the bad guy and he's doing murders. That's it. That's all we knew. Very vague idea. That's as much as I want. I don't even really need to know the villain. I just want the vibe, and I want to see some of our characters. That's it. And I was worried that this trailer was going to give me too much. And I'm really happy to say it didn't. I'm really happy to say that I really think they worked hard on this. They clearly put a lot of thought into it. And it did the good superhero trailer of, here's a lot of shots out of context, but you're like, whoa, that looks cool. Oh, we'll get to Lex in a minute. I got a lot of Lex thoughts. But it's like, look at Lex looking angry here. We can see the character there. Why is Lex holding a revolver? That's interesting. This shot of Luthor Corp. That's wow, look how Metropolis looks. Oh, look at Lois and Clark. Like, we don't know what's happening. We don't know what's causing Lois and Clark to kiss, but we can see our characters and we can see what type of relationship they're going to have in this film. We're getting the vibes and very vague brushings of the ideas of this film instead of the actual happenings. And that's exactly what I want. And to me, that's what every trailer should be like. I don't want a single trailer that spells out the plot of this film. I really don't. Really don't want that. And I really hope they don't give us that. I hope we just get more vague, cool shots set to great music. And that brings me to the other thing I wanted. I wanted the music to be awesome. I was blown away by the poster reveal, the music that they had with it, that like humming of the original John Williams theme. Batman's had some great themes. And there was probably a period in there where they had to go, okay, is Danny Elfman's theme the Batman theme forever? Like, is that, ironically enough, Batman Forever? That's funny that that's what it worked out, but you know what I mean. I don't know, is the Elfman theme in Batman Forever? I think it's only in 89, and I'm assuming they reuse it for Returns. Right? I'm thinking. I bet so. Anyways, I got to think about that. But obviously they don't use the Danny Elfman theme in the Nolan films. They don't use it in Batman vs Superman. Like the Elf, they don't use it in the Batman. Like the Elfman theme is for the Michael Keaton Batman. It's for that period. There's gonna have to be a conversation had where it's okay, because like when they made Man of Steel, they didn't use the John Williams theme. They're like, no, that's just a period. That's not the official Superman theme. Like every time Superman's there, we must use it, right? And I think James Gunn and company is kind of like, no, that's Superman's theme, and that will always be Superman's theme. And I like that. I really do. I think there is something, that theme is perfect. That is the Superman theme. I love the animated series intro. Do not get me wrong. It is really good. I also think the one that Hans Zimmer did for Man of Steel was not bad either. It's pretty good. I like that one too. But the John Williams theme is like perfect for Superman. That is the Superman thing. And I think they believe so too. And the guitar, like electric guitar of it in this trailer, incredible. Perfect. Loved it. It was awesome. And I like that we've just kind of made this the stamp. Now this will be the Superman. Because if this movie is going to be as good as I believe it's going to be, this will be the definitive Superman film. No questions asked. Because we do, but we don't have that. Because the definitive Superman film is probably Superman, the movie, from 1978, with Christopher Reeve. Or Superman 2, depending on how much you like Superman 2. For me, it's Superman 2. That's like the Superman movie. But those movies are a little antiquated, right? Superman is on point. Christopher Reeve is perfect as Superman. The Lois Lane in that is perfect. Oh my gosh, what is her name? The Lois Lane from the Christopher Reeve films. She's great. Oh my. What is her name? Margaret Kidder. Or is it Margot? It smelled like Margot Robbie. I think it's Margot. Yeah, Margot Kidder. Yeah, and then I remember Kate Bosworth comes in and like kind of plays her in Superman Returns. Okay. She's really good. Great casting in those films. Gene Hackman, I think, is a fun Lex Luthor, but not my favorite Lex Luthor. We're going to get to Lex in a minute. So, like, the definitive Superman film is probably from the early 80s, late 70s, right? It's like, because Superman 2, I think, comes out in 1980, and then Superman, the movie, comes out in 1978. And then you don't get another Superman film again until Superman Returns in 06. And Superman Returns, while there's fun elements to that film, and I honestly think, like, I hate to admit it because it's, you know, it's awkward to admit this because Kevin Spacey, obviously, is everything we know, but he made a pretty good Lex Luthor. Like, we're just being honest. You know, for better or for worse, that dude clearly knew how to be evil. Am I right? That's a poor joke. That's in poor taste. I'm sorry about that one, but it is really weird how Kevin Spacey, obviously, we know he's a real life villain, and a lot of his best roles he was villainous. Just very odd. Then you get Man of Steel, which I don't really like. I'm not a fan of Man of Steel. My buddy RJ, one of my best friends at college, really likes Man of Steel. I remember the first time I ever watched Man of Steel. I think it was the only time I've ever watched it in one sitting. I've caught it on cable sometimes, but the first and only time I've watched Man of Steel in one sitting was probably, I don't know, 5th, 6th grade. And my grandma had bought it on Blu-ray because, hey, it's the new Superman film. And I remember watching it and being like, why is this is not Superman. This is Alien. I didn't like it. They made it super alien. He didn't feel like, because to me, my Superman was Christopher Reeve. I had watched his movies a ton. And some of the animated series and some of the Justice League cartoons. That was my Superman. And I just didn't feel like... No, and that's not Cavill's fault. I know everybody's always like, well, Cavill was great. Yeah, well, at some point, you got to have the damn scripts, right? It's like an Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man situation for me. It's like, yeah, Garfield is not bad. We know Garfield could be a good Spider-Man. But he's got to be in those damn movies. That's how it is for me with Henry Cavill. I get Cavill could have been a good Superman. I do. But I do not like the Man of Steel script. And I think that movie's bad. Like, I don't like it. I don't think it's very good. And I know it's got people who defend it, but it's just not for me. If this movie is the definitive Superman story, it's setting itself up to be the definitive Superman film. That John Williams theme will officially just be his theme probably for all time, which is awesome. Another thing I wanted going into this trailer, I wanted Metropolis to look like Metropolis. It shouldn't just look like another city. Metropolis is like the anti-Gotham, right? Gotham's always dark, and it just looks like the worst city on the planet, and it's like got all this Gothic architecture, and they nailed that. Absolutely nailed that in the Batman film. And I don't think any Batman movie has got that so correct since, the Tim Burton films? Maybe Batman Forever. Batman Forever had a decent Gotham, too. But as much as the Nolan films are great, they don't do that with Gotham. He's not concerned with making Gotham look like Gotham. Gotham's just a city to place it in. Whereas the Batman Gotham is that like hellscape it's supposed to be. Metropolis is supposed to be like the city of tomorrow. It needs to just pop off the page, look fantastical. And that's how it looks in the Superman the Animated Series. And when we saw that Daily Planet, how he got the big globe for the Daily Planet, that's when I was like, oh, he's got it. James Gunn's got the sauce. He's going for it. He's going for that Metropolis I want to see. And in this trailer, we saw the Luthor Corp building. And I was like, oh my gosh, yep, he's doing the Metropolis I want to see. It's grand, sweeping architecture, lots of big curves, lots of high, tall buildings, like skyscrapers all over the place. Exactly what I want Metropolis to look like. Perfect. Perfect. So, last thing I really want to go into this trailer was Lex Luthor. I wanted to see Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, and I wanted to be sold on it. I figured he wouldn't have a speaking part. The reports had said this is a music-heavy trailer. I just wanted to be shown that Lex Luthor is going to be done justice. Because I really like Gene Hackman. I mean, he kills in Hoosiers. I know Gene Hackman, great actor. It's wild that my go-to film for him is Hoosiers, but that's just the nature of it. And I think he's a fine Lex Luthor, but he's not the definitive Lex Luthor. I think Christopher Reeve is still the Superman. I think the Lex Luthor is Michael Rosenbaum. Honestly, Michael Rosenbaum is perfect. Now, I mentioned Spacey does an all right job, but Rosenbaum is the one. Rosenbaum is amazing. He's exactly what I'd want from a Lex Luthor. Now, if we're counting the animated series, it's Clancy Brown animated series. That's it. Like, we're done here. I mean, but if we're counting the animated series, that's also the definitive Superman take. But as far as live action film, the Superman is Christopher Reeve in my mind. The Lex Luthor is Michael Rosenbaum. And apparently Nicholas Hoult has been his favorite Lex Luthor is Michael Rosenbaum. I read that online. I haven't seen him saying that personally. I did not fact check it. I'm just praying that that's true because that would be perfect. And we get 3 shots of him. One in which you see Superman fly away and he turns around. That shot is beautiful. The lens flare in like the sunlight coming into the Lex. It's not LexCorp, sorry. It's Luthor Corp in this. We'll get to that later. The Luthor Corp building and him turning around, just like the hate he has in his heart for Superman. Mwah, beautiful. The shot of him with the gun. Why does Lex have a revolver? He's in a suit too. Very Lex. People are saying he looks like Hitman, like Agent 47. They are both bald, so I mean, bald men in suits. Yeah, obviously they're not going to look that different. But the revolver for Lex. What is he doing with the revolver? Right. And then the final shot of Lex you see is him crying. I don't know if he's crying or he's just full of rage, but he looks upset, obviously. And he's got like damage all over his face. I don't think Lex is the main villain of this film. Pretty sure that's like mostly confirmed too. I think Lex is going to be around in these Superman films, and I think he's going to be incredible also. And I just wanted to be proven that off the trailer. Lex is so important to me. Maybe my favorite DC villain. I love Lex Luthor. I think he is just as important to Superman as Joker is to Batman. I really do. Because in Lex's mind, he's the pinnacle of what a human can be. And then you got this guy who comes along who isn't human, and people love him instead of Lex. Why don't they love Lex? Lex doesn't understand why the people don't love him more than Superman, because Lex is one of them. This being's an alien. And that's what always bothered me a little bit about Man of Steel, is it felt like the writers of the film and Zack Snyder himself saw Superman as an alien, something not human. I think you're just missing the mark. I mean, Superman is an adopted child of Earth. It's not like he's 20 years old and rolls up to Earth. He's not Omni-Man. He's invincible. He grew up on Earth with the Kents. Clark Kent is a person. Clark Kent is not fully a mask. As much as I love Tarantino, he is completely off the mark in Kill Bill when they talk about the Superman being a mask for Clark Kent. For those of you that listen to the podcast a lot, yes, I have still not seen Kill Bill. I just have seen that scene because it was a Tarantino movie that they talk about Superman. I had to tune in for that. I've seen that scene before, and Tarantino misses the mark also. And so it kind of bothered me because I felt like the way Lex sees Superman was the way that the writers of Man of Steel saw him, and that's not a good sign. Lex Luthor should not, his ideals should not align with the writers of any film. That's not good, especially a Superman film. Let's get into what I noticed. Krypto looks incredible. They nailed Krypto the Superdog. Different breed than usual, but I really liked him. And, he looks adorable. He's going to be a part that blows up on social media. And the only line of the trailer is, Krypto, take me home. And Krypto starts dragging him with his cape. Superman's completely beat up in the beginning of the trailer. And, Krypto just looks adorable. And I love that we're doing Krypto. I do. This gives me faith for the DCU Batman film. I understand. I love the Pattinson films. There's only one. I love Pattinson Batman. I think it's the best Batman movie ever. But we should not put that in the DCU. We need to have a separate Batman for this DCU. Because if we're getting Krypto as Superman, we're going to get Robin. And we're going to get Batgirl. And we're going to get over-the-top Batman for this universe. And people need to see that that's awesome. And as much as I love Batman Detective, I think we could also have a Batman that's just as good as the Pattinson Batman. That's a completely different base. And it's over-the-top, and it's, a blue suit Batman. Not blue suit, but a blue cowl Batman with Robin and Batgirl at his side. And it's so different than anything we've ever seen in live action. And we needed that. It's like we needed Krypto the Superdog. And it's really fun. Another thing I noticed, it's Luthor Corp. It's not Lex Corp. That's important. Is Lex's father still running the scenes? Is Lex the soon-to-be prince? Is he jealous of his father? We're getting Smallville vibes here, right? Lex's father is a very important part of Smallville early on. Very important part. His relationship with his father is one of the most interesting things about Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor. And I wonder if we're going to tap into that with Nicholas Holtz. I really do. And this is a recipe for success in my mind. It really is. I'm so excited for Lex Luthor, guys. I think he's going to be so damn good. I really hope he's the definitive Lex. We got to talk about Corn Sweat, too. Dude stands at 6'4". That's really tall for an actor, and you can see it on the screen. He looks big. He does, and the suit looks amazing. I'm really happy with how the suit looks in film. I actually paused it while he's laying in the Arctic. I feel like he's about to go to the Fortress of Solitude. That's what he's saying of Take Me Home. He's either going to the Fortress of Solitude or he's going back to Kansas to the house of Smallville. Also, the Smallville house, it being a ranch, is so on point. I love that they did a ranch house. As somebody who's from a small town, that's that is the small town farm. That's literally looks like my grandma's house. The house that Clark is in Kansas, and I love that. But it being Luthor Corp, I think, is going to be really important. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just didn't want to call it Lex Corp. Maybe, but I think it's usually Lex Corp. It's usually Lex Corp. So the fact that it's Luthor Corp tells me we might have Lex and his father drama, which is, always good. So I'm very excited about that. I'm really impressed with Corn Sweat, guys. I think he's got it. I really do. And apparently it came out, he pushed for the trunks. He pushed for the red underwear on Superman's suit. And he told James Gunn, he's like, Superman wants to look like a pro, doesn't want kids to fear him. That's why he wears the trunks. He wants to look like a pro wrestler for them. So they're not afraid of him. I'm like, oh my gosh, David Cornswet understands his character perfectly. Like, this is incredible. David Cornswet gets it. Like, he understands it now. He understands the character of Superman. And I mean, that's just key to my heart right there. I mean, come on. David Cornswet's going to kill it. I did not expect a Guardians of the Galaxy callback. It says from director James Gunn, the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. Did not expect them to do that. I figured they were going to kind of separate from the, his Guardians of the Galaxy success, maybe push that, just the new film of the DCU. But no, they're not really marketing it as come see the start of a new universe as much as they're pushing it like, yeah, James Gunn clearly is a master of the superhero genre. I think he is the director of the superhero genre and the writer of the superhero genre. Well, superhero isn't a genre. I mean, that's like saying, you know what I mean. The superheroes really isn't a genre. It's how do I explain this? Like, is a buddy cop. I don't know if buddy cop is a genre. Okay, comedy's a genre, right? Would a cop film be a genre? I don't think so. It's just movies about cops, because you can have a cop film that's a comedy. You like Ride Along, 21 Jump Street. You can have a cop film. Oddly enough, both have Ice Cube. You can have a cop film that's a drama. Would Heat classify as a cop film? It's more of a crime film. But is crime film a form of cop film? You see what I mean? Genre gets real. I don't think superheroes is really a genre, because you can have a crime film like The Batman. You can have a comedy like Thor Ragnarok is like an action comedy, but they're both superhero films. I don't really know if it's superhero is a genre. But anyways, James Gunn, it's a long-winded way of me trying to go back to my point, which is James Gunn I do think is the definitive director and writer of superhero films at this time. I really do. And the fact that DC's got him leading up their films gives me immense faith in what they're doing. And so I get why they're calling back to Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's his most successful run. Those films, just one of the craziest success, I think the craziest success story in MCU history, other than, of course, Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr., other than that. The best MCU trilogy, and it's the characters that if you said at the beginning of the MCU, hey, the Guardians of the Galaxy, this is the roster, this is going to be our most successful trilogy from a quality perspective, they would laugh you out of the room. No one's going to go watch that movie. No one. I didn't even know it was a Marvel. First time I saw a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, first MCU movie I saw in the theaters was April of 2014. Me and my buddy Merrick, who I was talking about earlier, we went with my parents to go see Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Went to my favorite movie theater. It was one of the first times I went to that movie theater. I've been there so many times since. I most definitely will be seeing Superman in theaters at that theater, my favorite theater. And I actually, in high school, went there so much, they knew me. Like, when I walked in, they were like, hey, how many people do you have with you this time? Because I'd bring my friends so much. That's how much I went to this theater. We saw a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, because it came out August of 2014. And I remember it started, and I was like, what the hell is this? I'm like, this is not an MCU movie. Like, this is something completely different. And then it was a Marvel movie. And I was like, I'm not seeing that. Like, that's weird. And I never wanted to watch it. And then look at it now. I think it's maybe the best, like one of the best Marvel movies and probably the best Marvel trilogy. It's just insane. So I get why they're calling back to that for James Gunn. An immense success story for him. I really like Green Lantern's hair. They gave him the bob, and I'm really glad they gave him that bad. That's not even a bob. That's a bowl cut. Sorry for everybody with a bob. That's not a bob. That's a bowl cut. They gave him the hideous bowl cut. And also, the way his ring looks really good. I bet that was a point of emphasis, because I don't think it looks very good in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern film. His Green Lantern energy, like the ring, looks great. like the way the laser comes off. It looks great. Very happy with that. Okay, so I'm assuming the main villain is Ultraman. We've seen set photos that shows Ultraman, and it's a very different design of Ultraman. They're not doing like Ultraman just like where he's like Superman from another universe, except he's evil because he's in like an all black suit. You don't see his face. He kind of looks like Black Noir is like what he looks like from the set photos. And you can see him fighting Superman. You can see him punching through a wall in this trailer. I'm assuming he's the main villain, and I know that might be a little underwhelming. A part of me thinks it might be actually Brainiac. I do want to say. A part of me thinks, for a second I thought Metamorpho is in this trailer, and he thought he was Brainiac for a second, but then I saw his purple arm in the background. I'm like, oh, it's Metamorpho. A part of me thinks it might be Brainiac, and that the Ultraman thing is a fake out. But the other part of because I'm like, okay, really, if this is going to be the Superman movie, Ultraman's the main villain. Then I thought about it. Like, in the same sense, if you were like, yo, main bad guy of Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be Ronan the Accuser, we're going to have Thanos show up for like 2 minutes. I'd been like, hell no. Ronan the Accuser's the main... Hell no. This movie's going to be ass. And then Ronan's great. He's not very deep. I think, honestly, the nature of his character is to be a joke. Like, he is a joke in Guardians of the Galaxy. And it works, like, really well. And so maybe that's what we're doing here. Maybe the fact that Ultraman doesn't have a lot of depth is going to be nice because we're just going to be developing the relationships of our characters like Clark and Lois and Jimmy and Lex and the other superheroes. I mean, Hawkgirl's going to be in this. Very excited to see Isabella Merced as her. Nathan Fillion obviously is Green Lantern. Mr. Terrific is apparently a big part of this movie, which I cannot wait for. I love Mr. Terrific, and I'm very excited for that. The actor that plays him, I can't remember his name. He was in Peacemaker. He's very good. So I'm very excited to see him. Right? Isn't he? Isn't it that actor? Let me check. Superman cast. I want to check this real quick. Yes, Eddie Gathegi. Is that it? No, he wasn't. No, I take that back. He wasn't in Peacemaker. I'm off my rocker. He's not in Peacemaker. Where have I seen? Oh my gosh, he's in X-Men First Class. Wow, that's actually, that's funny. That's where I saw him. Okay. Who was I think I know who I was thinking of. I was thinking of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 main villain. I cannot pronounce his name. He played in Peacemaker. He was Myrn. And then he was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as the High Evolutionary. Chikwudi Iwuji, I think is what it is. Chikwudi Iwuji. I struggle with his name. It's a Nigerian name. Yeah, I'm very bad at pronouncing his name. I need to work on that one. I was confusing them because they both have worked with James Gunn. And I was like, no, because they've both been in superhero things before. So, yes, this guy who's playing Mr. Terrific, Eddie Gathegi, he hasn't worked with James Gunn before, for what it's worth. He is going to be Mr. Terrific, and I'm very excited to see him as Mr. Terrific. Very excited for that. Beck Bennett is in this as Steve Lombard. That's going to be fun as a Daily Planet character. Wendell Pierce looks great as Perry White. Just want to toss that out there. We didn't see. I don't even know if he's in the trailer. We just saw a picture that he posted. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be a great Perry White. So very excited for that. Oh, I forgot that we're getting Eve Tessmacher in this film. That's going to be fun. Okay. continuing with the Ultraman thing. Maybe, it's one of those where Ultraman's the main villain, not a lot of depth, but it's like we're kind of just developing. Because originally I thought this film was going to be a Superman versus the Authority movie. That's because, they announced the Authority. I thought that's how it was going to be. I really did. And it was like they would be led by, the bad guy from Superman versus the Elite is basically what I'm talking about. It's from What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, the American Way. That comic. Oh my gosh, who's the villain? What's his name? Manchester Black. So Superman versus the Elite, for those of you who don't know, Superman goes up against a superhero team that kill people. And he's like, killing people's bad. Don't do that. And they're like, but it's so cool. And the people are like, yeah, killing people's cool. And Superman's got to be like, no, don't kill people. And Manchester Black is bad guy. Because some people think Manchester Black is a hero, and other people are like, whoa, he kills people. We're not okay with that. And Superman's like, me neither. And that's kind of the base idea. It was a really good comic. It was a one-issue, massive success, considered one of the best Superman stories. It was adapted into an animated film. It's like an hour 15 long, called Superman versus the Elite. Well, you could very easily put in the Authority for the Elite. And a lot of YouTubers and a lot of online articles kind of thought that's what this film was going to be, because they announced the Authority when they announced the DC film slate. But that's not what we're doing, apparently. And I don't think we're secretly doing that. I don't. Maybe I'm going to be shocked. Maybe this is going to be a Superman versus the Authority film. But I'm thinking if there's any secret villain in this, I think it's Brainiac. Maybe it's just flat out Ultraman. And I'm fine with that for what it's worth. I really am. I have full faith in what this film is doing. I really do. And I kind of just believe no matter what, it's going to be good. What's happened to that Authority film, though? They haven't, like... I figured that was going to be the second film in the DCU. It's really ballsy to do a Superman film and then follow a Superman film up with a Supergirl film. Putting a lot of faith in the Superman characters, and honestly, I'm here for it. Because I think what they're going to do with the DCU is they're going to make Superman like the Earth one, and then Supergirl is going to be off in space. So they're going to have very different vibes, and I think it's good. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for this. This Superman movie is going to be so good. Okay. The colors look great. There was some concern yesterday off the teaser they released that the color grading looked weird. All those concerns are gone. The colors look incredible, and it just pops. And the action shots of Superman look absolutely incredible in this. The slow-mo of him saving the kid in this was great. The part when he punched through the glass looked incredible. The shot we saw yesterday of him flying, they're really taking inspiration from Top Gun Maverick. And I like how they're filming the flight scenes. It looks really good. Like, really good. Yeah, it's wow. Talking about it makes me want to watch it again. I actually don't have it running in front of me right now. I'm just focusing on talking, because I figured if I put it on in front of me, I'd be, like, paying too much attention to it. Okay, so last two things we're going to hit, and then we're going to wrap up, which is what was emphasized in this trailer. Because to me, that's important. What are they trying to show us this film is truly about? There was two things that really stood out. The one is the people. How Superman is giving people hope, and how some love him, and some people fear him in this. And I don't think it's a terribly bad thing. You guys know I don't like when the people don't, feel totally hopeful for Superman. You guys know I feel like people got to be behind my boy. But I do think in the first Superman film, I understand that the idea that maybe Lex has some extremists that don't like Superman. Maybe Lex has rallied some troops. If there's going to be a movie universe we get President Lex, it is this one. I just want to say, I could 100% James Gunn doing the President Lex storyline. I really could. But when you look at it, I'm telling you right now, they're really emphasizing this people with the Superman thing. They chant Superman throughout the second minute of the trailer, and I love that. The little kid putting up the flag with Superman's emblems on it, this is really... this is so All-Star Superman. It's so All-Star Superman. And if there's any Superman comic to go off of, that's the one. I know Batman, like The Dark Knight Returns, is like the one that everybody wants to do. But Matt Reeves said, whoa, Long Halloween. And I kind of mess with that more, honestly, at this point. Like, Yeah, let's do Long Halloween. Like, hell yeah. And that's kind of what Matt Reeves has been doing. James Gunn, I understand there's a lot of Superman ideas in this. There's a lot of animated series in this. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of Man of Steel. There's even a lot of Man of Steel like vibes in here. They're doing some Man of Steel stuff in here. You can tell he really has a deep appreciation for this character. He didn't just read 3 comics. But I will say, the one he's clearly pulling from the most, just vibes, is All-Star Superman. And if there's any comic I'd want him to pull from the most, it's All-Star Superman. So I got no problems here. But I'm saying the people chanting his name, the flag being put up, all of that is so All-Star Superman vibed. And I'm very happy with that. And I really like how that was emphasized. The people and the hope Superman brings them, is going to be a massive emphasis of this film. Kind of like how the Batman, Batman was a source of fear for criminals. He's vengeance. The criminals feared him. And the film ended with the people not fearing, because it used to be everybody feared Batman. That was kind of the story of the first Batman film. Then at the end, the people feel safe because of him. You see the little girl reach out for the Batman. And that was beautiful. And that's exactly what I wanted from that Batman film. And now we're going to see how that continues in the next one. Are the people of Gotham now more behind the Batman? And criminals are more afraid of him. How does that play? And Superman is now doing this too, right? Superman is going to be about how he inspires hope. And I bet by the end of this film, there probably going to be some tension at the beginning of the film. There are people they don't understand him, they don't really like him, and then by the end they're going to see the goodness in Superman and at some point it's a commentary on the world, right? There's obviously people in the world that don't have a lot of hope, that are, very negative. They don't, believe in good things happening, and those type of people don't really mess with Superman, and that's going to be interesting how that plays. It really is. It's going to be a film about ideas because say what you want about the Guardians of the Galaxy films, but those films have ideas. They're about family. Every single one of those films have a different idea about family. They do have something that they're trying to say about the human experience. And that's what the Superman film, I think, is going to do too. And that's what's separating what I think what DC's trying to do than Marvel. Because when Marvel was at its peak, it was doing the same stuff. Go rewatch the original Avengers. I saw a clip on Twitter just a couple days ago, and it was the scene between Iron Man and Loki in Avengers Tower. Well, Stark Tower at the time. Where they're just kind of jabbing at each other. And then the one when he's like, I have an army, and he goes, we have a Hulk. He's like, you really want to mess with us? She's like, we're Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, sort of thing. That's what the MCU is missing now, is the personal, right? And I'm not saying personal like, oh, these guys don't like each other. It's personal. I'm saying these were people. These were stories about human beings. These are stories about characters we loved. They were, superhero films are the modern, folk tales, which were the more modern myths, like Greek gods and stuff, right? And then we had, in like the, 1800s, we had, oh my gosh, the really tall guy, or the man who worked on the railroad. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? The famous American folk tales. I feel so dumb that I can't. Is it Mason? Is that the one? I guess I'll just Google American folk tale. American folk tale characters. Paul Bunyan. That's what I was thinking of. John Henry. Oh, yeah. John Henry is like a heavy inspiration for the character of Steel. I mean, is this Steel's name literally John Henry Irons? Yeah, that's what I thought. Heavy inspiration for Steel, which is great. I love Steel. But John Henry, Paul Bunyan, Johnny Appleseed. Oh, yeah. All the OGs. But superheroes are the modern version of that. And the MCU really understood that early on. That first Iron Man film, such a classic. Never gets old. And I think the MCU's lost that. I really do. And they announced that Chris Evans is going to be in Doomsday. And you guys know I've been worried about that film is just going to be like if Reddit wrote a movie. It's like, and then Hugh Jackman Wolverine sees Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Spider-Man says, didn't think to see you here. Wolverine smiles. Out comes Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, and he gets punched by Chris Evans as Nomad, the alternate universe version of Captain America. And then in comes Wesley Snipes' Blade, joined by Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, and Tom Cruise as Iron Man. Like, that's what I'm really worried we're heading towards with the MCU. And Pedro Pascal's there as Mr. Fantastic, and I'm really worried about it. I mean, I don't lose sleep over it. But when I think about the MCU, I just don't. Thunderbolts actually looks pretty good, and I think this Fantastic Four film's gonna be good. But I'm getting very concerned with what they're doing with Doomsday and Secret Wars, that we're going to get just kind of slop. You know? And at some point, the big events don't mean anything if there's no heart to them. And if you look at the MCU characters that, like, I think a lot of the audience has a heart connection with, I think Spider-Man's one of the only ones. I really do. And that's not going to work. I just don't think it's going to work. This Superman film is bringing us back to those days. Now, granted, maybe part of it is the fact that it's early on in the universe. There's not as much crazy tie-ins and amazing, you don't have to watch so many films and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's part of it. And I think the way James Gunn's going to build the DCU is you're not going to have to see everything. It's going to be a lot more like Star Wars. It's going to be, you can more pick and choose. And I still hope we can get big event films that tie everything together, but we'll see how he wants to handle it. I really do think this is going to be really good, and I really hope it's going to be a great success for DC. And I think there's something about this movie that feels like it's bringing us back to what these films should be trying to do, and that's super exciting. And I really have a lot of faith in what DC's trying to do. The second thing that this trailer really emphasized was Lois and Clark's relationship. And I mean, that just gets a bravo from me. I mean, that's what you should be doing. It's maybe the most important aspect of Superman's character. I mean, like, what? It's other than hope. Like, hope is like his whole thing, right? Like, hope, being a hopeful figure is like the top thing. And then right after that is his relationship with Lois. An immensely important part of his character. I think it's something that they brushed over a little too broadly in the DC Extended Universe. I just don't think it worked. And I think we're getting it for this one. I really do. We've already seen them kiss in the trailer. There's not going to be a will they, won't they for the whole damn movie. I'm willing to bet they're not dating in the first half of the film. It probably comes along throughout the film. You're going to see the romance blossom. That's going to be beautiful. And Rachel Brosnahan looks like the perfect Lois Lane, the best since Kidder. Because Kidder's really damn good. I feel really bad that I forgot Margot Kidder's name earlier on. She is an excellent Lois Lane. Nothing against the other Lois Lanes, but Kidder is spot on Lois Lane. And I think Rachel Brosnahan is going to just absolutely murder it. I do. I'm very excited for her as Lois Lane. Love that they're dressing her in purple a lot. Very animated series style, and I really like that. I think she's going to be a lot like animated series Lois. I really do. And animated series Lois is the best. So I'm very excited for this. And her relationship with Clark is so important. And the shot, the shot of them kissing in the air. I mean, mwah, like very all-star Superman. That was very good. I love that. Don't get me wrong. But the shot that even stood out more to me is them at the end of the trailer. There's like a big laser in the sky. There's something going on. And she goes to hug Clark. And the way Corn Sweat just looked on. Oh my gosh. Like, he's comforted, but you could tell he's being brought down with the burdens of everything he has to do. And maybe I'm reading into it too much. Maybe I'm praising it too much. But I really thought there was something there. She doesn't just go for the kiss, she goes for the hug, because sometimes a hug can be more intimate than a kiss. All right, we're going to do a quick 1-minute segment on Ryan's love advice. Taking a quick break from the Sort of Sports podcast. We're doing a quick segment on Ryan's love advice. Hugs are just as important in a dating situation. I want to say this. A kiss is romantic and loving. Don't get me wrong. But there is obviously an element of a kiss where, you're trying to be a little hot, right? You know what I mean? Whereas a hug, that's just pure care, right? There's nothing sexy about a hug. Do you get what I mean? A hug is very important, and it means something different than a kiss does, and so it's very important that that's what they chose to end the trailer with. That gives more of a, I don't know how to describe it. Hopefully you understand what I'm picking up here. She's hugging Superman. I'm willing to bet it's a scene he's going to go do something dangerous, or she's just happy he's still there. Who knows? But that was, and they're holding hands in a shot. Oh yeah. Oh, this is all right. Turn off the camera. We're done with Ryan's love hour. Minute of love. Ryan's minute of love. I mean, that's not exactly hyping me up there with that title, but Ryan's minute of love. Oh goodness. Let's talk about. Those are the two things the trailer emphasized, though. And those, honestly, if you said what two things does the Superman trailer emphasize, I'd say people's hope in him and his relationship with Lois. And the third thing I'd want is Lex Luthor. This wasn't as heavy Lex as I'd want, but in the same sense, the trailer could be half Lex, and I wouldn't say it's enough. You guys know I just can't wait. I want to see a legendary Lex Luthor in a live-action Superman film. That's what I want. I've been wanting it for so long. I want it so bad. Kind of like I always wanted the Riddler to be a Batman movie villain. That was like my top pick. After that, it was like probably Mr. Freeze. I always wanted Riddler. And they did it, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, the Carrie one's fun, but he's not what I wanted. I didn't realize I wanted like creepy Zodiac killer Riddler, but apparently I did because it was awesome. I need that for Lex. Not creepy Zodiac. I just want Lex. Like I want Clancy Brown animated series Lex. I want Michael Rosenbaum Lex. We can take a hint of Gene Hackman, hint of Kevin Spacey. But realistically, needs to be Michael Rosenbaum Lex. Needs to be animated series Lex. That's what we need. That's what we need. Oh. My biggest concern at this current point. What is the general public's interest in a Superman film? I think it's an important question to ask. A lot of kids my age probably think Superman's boring. Because in Man of Steel he is. And in those Justice League films he is. And there hasn't been a great Superman adaptation since the animated series and Justice League Unlimited. Now, granted, I don't think the movie has to make $1 billion or it's a failure, but you'd like for it to make at least like $500 million starting a new universe. And you look at the release calendar, it's going to be tough. Comes out July 11th. As soon as tickets go on sale, I'm buying. So the week before the new Jurassic World comes out, that's a guaranteed $1 billion movie for Universal. Those movies always hit. And this one's got Gareth Edwards. Okay, sidebar. They brought in Gareth Edwards to do it. Okay. You guys know I hated Jurassic World Dominion. I think that's one of the worst blockbuster films I've ever seen. I'm not lying to you. That movie is awful. They brought in Gareth Edwards, the guy who directed Godzilla, the 2014 one, and Rogue One, to direct a Jurassic World film. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So it's like a soft reboot. We're going to get away from Owen Grady and Bryce Dallas Howard's character. Why did I remember Chris Pratt's character's name? I don't know. We're doing something new. I'm surprised they didn't go back to calling it Jurassic Park, but I guess at this point they're like, the Jurassic World branding is kind of stronger at this point because those movies all made like a shitload of money, even though only one of them's any good. I think this will probably be better than any of the Jurassic World films, previous ones, because it's got Mahershala Ali in it, Scarlett Johansson. There's other people in it, but those are the main two that I'm like, yeah, let's go. And Gareth Edwards directing. I mean, that movie's going to be awesome, and that's a guaranteed $1 billion for Universal. So you're going to follow that up the next week. You're coming out the week after that. It's a bit scary, right? And then the week after that, bit of a break. There's the new, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer revival, which won't make boatloads of money, but I could see a world where that movie makes like a crisp, I don't know, like 150 mil. Something fun. Madeline Klein's going to be in it. Jennifer Love Hewitt's come back for it. Sarah Michelle Gellar's going to be in it. Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to be in it. That movie could be fun. If it gets good reviews and, you know, the right people push it on social media, that could make some money, right? So I'm not that worried about it for Superman's sake. Superman will still probably be the highest grossing film 2 weekends in a row. But then the third week Superman's out, third weekend of it being out, Fantastic Four drops. I guess in the one sense, you would argue that Marvel needs to be scared. Because as much as I like Fantastic Four, we all know Superman is a significantly bigger name than the Fantastic Four. And while DC might not have the most goodwill towards it, if they're gesturing like, hey, we're the DC that made the Batman, we're the DC that made the Penguin, this is the James Gunn that made Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a pretty good resume for the public. I mean, as long as they don't think about it too much and go, but you're the DC that made the Flash. DC, I think they're really saying, no, forget about all that. You know, forget all that. We're this DC now, which is good. We're the DC that made Creature Commandos, which has been really good. I need to watch. There's 2 episodes that I haven't watched yet. Sorry. Had to yawn there. I think Fantastic Four will be a success for Marvel. But, I mean, the 2 biggest superhero movies of next year come out within 2 weeks of each other. It's just kind of... It's kind of wild. But that's where we're at. Because, I mean, if you look at it, Marvel's biggest film for next year is Fantastic Four. It's not Thunderbolts. It's not Captain America 2. Sorry. Goodness. Captain America 4. What's it called? Brave New World, right? Yeah, Brave New World. It was called New World Order for a bit, and I just was going to refer to it as Captain America NWO forever. Where's Hulk Hogan in this? But no Kevin Nash. No Scott Hall. But they retitled it. Whatever. I mean, that movie, we'll see if that's good. I hope it is. I'll go see it. I'll probably go see Thunderbolts too. They both look better than some of the stuff MCU's been putting out. But the big one the MCU wants to succeed has got to be Fantastic Four. That's the one. And if that movie's good, and I think it will be good, I think they could genuinely leverage Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic as their new Iron Man. If they can nail that movie. I really do. I think the Fantastic Four are really special characters. They could be a great success. And I'm no way rooting against that film. I want it to be a success for Marvel. Bit dangerous, though, right? You're like, if this Superman movie is as good as I think it is going to be, like, wow. I want this Superman movie to be a momentous success. I hope it makes $1 billion. I hope Fantastic Four is a momentous success, too. I hope we get... I bet it's never happened before that 3 movies released within the same month of each other all made $1 billion. I'm willing to bet that's never happened before. It would be incredible if that happened next summer. Because Jurassic World's like a guaranteed $1 billion. I mean, Jurassic World Dominion was awful, and it made $1 billion. This movie's going to be good. Like, I have very high faith in that. Like, these are 3 movies that I'm going to go see. Now, I'll probably see Jurassic World just the once. That'll be that. And I'll probably see Fantastic Four one time. If it's really that good, maybe I see it twice. But most guaranteed I see it once. If this Superman movie's good, I'm seeing it guaranteed twice, maybe 3 times in theaters. I just want to state. So there will be at least like $25 in the box office. That's just me alone. Because if this Superman movie's that good, I will be seeing it twice, and I will probably see it 3 times. I mean, I saw Batman 3 times in theaters, and this is the most excited I've ever been for a film, for the Superman movie. And it probably won't be on, like, Blu-ray until Christmas time. So I'll have to go to the theater. I mean, if I'm Warner Brothers, just keep this movie in the theater forever. kind of like Top Gun Maverick was just in the theater forever. Do the same thing with this, if it's as good as I think it's going to be. Just let it sit in the theater and just make more and more money, and people will just continue to go see it. But that's my only concern, is how interested is the general public in a Superman film. Now, apparently, the marketing team is the same marketing team that worked on Barbie, and that movie was incredibly successful. And I like that movie. That movie's in the Hall of Fame. That's a weird-ass movie. That movie's very odd. I like it. Very odd movie. I'm willing to bet Superman is not as off the rails as that. Maybe that makes it less marketable, but I'm willing to bet it makes it more. Superman, while Barbie is a huge IP that has a lot of brand recognition, Superman is the most famous superhero. Now, on paper, I think Batman is more popular. But as far as just people knowing, everyone knows Superman. Everyone knows Kryptonite. I mean, hell, there's a Three Doors Down song about it. I don't hear no Three Doors Down songs about Batarangs or Batmobiles. Like saying that's my kryptonite or that's his kryptonite is a common phrase. I genuinely think as many people say that's my kryptonite as Achilles' heel. I'm willing to, they're on the same level of recognition, which is insane. So hopefully the Barbie marketing team can make another $1 billion, because I would love for this film to just be a massive success. But realistically, I don't care if it's a massive success if it's not good. But I think it's going to be really good. I really do. I think this is going to be an incredibly special film. The trailer was kind of everything I wanted it to be. You guys, I ran down what I wanted, and it kind of gave me everything. And maybe it wasn't enough Lex for me, but hell, I don't think anything was going to be enough Lex for me. I can't wait to see Lex Luthor. I'm so excited for that. Nicholas Hoult looks good bald. The only time I've ever seen him bald was Mad Max. Nicholas Hoult on a big run. I mean, I'm going to watch Juror number 2 as soon as they let me. The hell, Warner Brothers? What are you doing to my boy Clint Eastwood? He's friends with Bradley Cooper. I won't stand for this. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bradley Cooper episode yesterday. That was fun. I was gonna finish watching He's Just Not That Into You last night, but then Jenny and I got caught up watching Gossip Girl, and I'm just the biggest Chuck Bass fan. I had to lock in for my boy Chuck Bass. So, I think I'm going to watch the trailer again now that we're done talking. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the social media push is. We'll see what the response is online. It seems to be relatively positive. I just want it to be a massive success because I think it's going to be really good. And I want many people to see it, and I want many people to be like, wow, Superman is awesome. And I really, really have faith in what James Gunn's doing with this new DC universe. I really do. And I hope people buy in, and I hope people are going to invest in these characters, and I hope... I mean, damn it, guys, what I want is I want the old MCU feel back. Where everybody's going to these movies and everybody wants to talk about them and everybody cares about these characters. Everybody's got their own favorite. Ain't nobody's favorite superhero was Thor until those movies. Nobody. Now everybody knows who Thor is. Nobody knew who Peter Quill was. Now he's some kid's favorite superhero. I want that back. And I don't think Marvel can provide. And I hope they can, for what it's worth. I don't want this to sound like I don't care about the Fantastic Four movie. I really want that movie to be incredible. But if you said pick one of these to be a disappointment, not a failure, because I don't want either film to fail. Hell no. If you said which one of these movies, if one of these movies has to be disappointing, which one? I guess I'd pick Fantastic Four, but that would also break my heart because I want the MCU to get back on track. I care about these movies. Really do. I love these movies. The whole reason we created the Sort of Sporties was because of a long podcast I did on No Way Home. I clearly love these films. I love these characters, and I truly think there's still a lot more legs. I mean, the MCU hasn't even tackled the X-Men yet. Like, come on. Cyclops is going to eventually be in the MCU, and everybody's going to realize he's just like one of the greatest comic book characters ever created. But next July is like the biggest month for superhero films in a long time. Because I need Superman to be a massive success. I need Fantastic Four to be a massive success. But more importantly than the success, I need them both to be very good. I really want them to be good. And this trailer showed me that I think the new Superman movie is going to be really good. I'm really glad they retitled it to Superman. Makes it cleaner, makes it simpler. They didn't even show the title in the trailer. It's like, he's Superman. Don't play. It's Superman. Look at him. So, yeah, I got a lot of faith in this movie. I really want the superhero movies to be back in full force. And I don't want those to be the only movies made, for what it's worth. I really like the fact we're getting movies that are hits like Challengers and Dune. And I like movies like The Fall Guy. And I want us to continue with these original films. I don't want superhero movies to be the only things we're making. I want a quality over quantity with these superhero movies, right? Like, if DC's making a Lantern show on HBO, it better be damn good. And I actually think it will be, for what it's worth. I'm really, really excited for that. But it seems like what we're doing with the DCU is we're going for what's a good idea, what's interesting, let's make it. How do we take these characters and how do we make great films and television shows with them? That's what the DCU is doing. And I'm worried Marvel's like, how do we just get as many butts in seats? And I mean, I know I was just talking about how, are people interested in the Superman film? But at some point, it's if you build it, they will come, right? If this Superman movie is amazing, people will see it. If it's marketed and it's good, people will see it. I mean, you do have to have some marketing, right? But I think it's going to be marketed well. I have faith in that Barbie team. They did an excellent job, obviously. I mean, that movie was like, they did a really good job of, they were just slightly annoying. And by what I mean by that, like, Barbie was everywhere to the point you were only slightly annoyed, but not so annoyed that you got burnt out and you didn't want to see the movie. Like, you wanted to be a part of it. It was a cultural event. And they took the Barbenheimer thing by the reins and they ran with it. They really did. I mean, that helped out Oppenheimer massively, too. I mean, it helped out both films. I truly believe that helped out the Barbie film just as much as it helped out the Oppenheimer film. I really do. I think both films were going to be massive hits regardless, and I think people that were going to see Oppenheimer might not have seen Barbie and vice versa, but because of that, they went and saw both. Maybe it'll be one of those, right? Maybe it'll be the thing to do is to see Superman and to see Fantastic Four. See them both. Appreciate them. We'll see. I didn't think Wicked would be one of the biggest hits of this year. I think I'm losing my ability to pick them. Granted, I don't think a lot of people would have thought that either. That Wicked movie's making crazy money. It's props to that movie. If you asked me at the beginning of the year what's going to be a surprise hit, I would have thought Twisters. Now, Twisters made good money, but it didn't do very well overseas. It was awesome, though, so it doesn't really matter. For what it's worth, I don't want you to think I care about the money more than I care about the film's quality. I mean, if Superman's no good, it shouldn't make $1 billion. I just hope it makes $1 billion because I want that many people to go see it. It's not even like I need them to continue the DCU. Like, I do need them to continue the DCU. But, like, I just want a lot of people to see Superman and be like, wow, Superman is awesome, because Superman is awesome. Superman's incredible, and I want everyone to see that. I want everyone to be like, wow, Superman's awesome. I want people to be coming out of this movie talking about how, Clois is their favorite ship, and Superman's one of their favorite superheroes. Oh, but I love Mr. Terrific. He's so cool. What about Hawkgirl? She's awesome. That's what I want. And that's that old MCU vibes. That's what we used to get with the MCU. And I want that back, baby. And I think this is going to bring it back. And I think this is going to be a really special film. And I've been talking a long time. We're going to do the Christmas special and the Festivus special next episode. So that'll be episode 125. Yeah, that's it for me. Make sure you watch the trailer. If you listen to this whole thing about listening to the trailer, my goodness. And if you did that, you're probably my mom. And mom, you probably should have just watched the trailer. I mean, it's now you don't even have to because you listen to me talk about it. I rambled a long time, guys. This was probably not my finest work. This last 20 minutes, I've just been going for it, haven't I? I appreciate you listening. It's truly sort of sports, as the last 2 episodes. Neither of them about sports at all. All right. That's it from me. I'll see you on the next one. I can't wait for this. I'm so excited. Oh, man. It genuinely lived up to my hype. And I hope the film does the same, you know? Also, I got to read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow in preparation for that movie. Let's get that authority movie rolling, though. I really want to see that. I really do. I'm really excited for that. Come on, baby. David Cornsweet, you look perfect. Nicholas Hoult, you look great. Rachel Brosnahan, you're gonna be perfect, Lois. I can't wait. Everybody else in this movie, I think the casting is incredible. Also, last thing. We felt like we were wrapping up. I got one more. What was excellent about the early MCU is that they would take the lead roles were star-making roles, and the side characters were played by your bigger names. Who's the biggest name in the Superman movie? Is it Nicholas Hoult? It's probably Nicholas Hoult, right? Is it him or Nathan Fillion? Like, it's really realistically not like the biggest named cast, right? No, David Cornsweet's basically an unknown. I mean, his biggest role, most people have probably seen him in, was in Twisters, where he had maybe 20 lines. That might be an exaggeration. I actually loved him in Twisters. He was awesome. And Rachel Brosnahan, obviously, her biggest role is Marvelous Miss Maisel. Which apparently is, like, really good. So. Oh my gosh, they're in for 6 years? I did not know that. Isn't Marvelous Miss Maisel, like, she does stand-up? Oh, it was created by the same woman who made Gilmore Girls. That's fun. I did not know that. Huh. No, but Rachel Brosnahan obviously is big from that, but... Oh, the guy from Monk is in that? That's fun. I did not know that. Huh. Anyways. That's kind of what we're doing here. We're making stars out of people, and that's what the early MCU did, right? Like, Chris Evans was not a big name at all. His biggest role was probably Human Torch in Fantastic Four. And say what you want about those Fantastic Four films, they were really well cast, like top to bottom. Like, well, not the Doctor Dooms, but the actual Fantastic Four team, like that cast is like a really good Fantastic Four cast. I really like that cast. But Chris Evans, that was his biggest role, really. And the biggest name actor in the first in the first Captain America film is probably Hugo Weaving or Tommy Lee Jones. I think one of those two. And like the first Iron Man film, Robert Downey Jr., was kind of reviving his career. Biggest name of that's probably Jeff Bridges. And or honestly, maybe Terrence Howard. He was coming off. Wasn't he just in the movie where he's the rapper where he sings "Whoop That Trick"? Raps "Whoop That Trick." He might have been. And then Thor. I mean, Chris Hemsworth is basically a nobody. Anthony Hopkins is the biggest name in that film. Then you go to the Avengers film. At that point, it's like, yeah, we have faith in these characters. That's going to sell the movie. And then because of that, now all those guys are big name stars, right? I think that's what the early MCU did well. And as they continued, they kind of got away from that, right? Now it's, okay, well, Benedict Cumberbatch is a big name. He's going to be Doctor Strange. You see what I mean? Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace. He was incredible. Pretty big name. He was Black Panther. For what it's worth, excellent casting. I just want to state, Benedict Cumberbatch is a great Doctor Strange. And Chadwick Boseman was an incredible Black Panther. This wasn't a bad thing. But I am saying there was something kind of cool about that star-making role. And when it was like, yeah, the villains are usually a big-name actor. or like a side character is, and the main role is kind of like a star-making performance for someone. And that's kind of what James Gunn's doing with this DCU. I mean, you look around, Supergirl is going to be played by Millie Alcock. I don't think... I mean, really her only big role is House of the Dragon. I'm willing to bet she's not going to be the biggest name in that film. Maybe she is, and it's going to be more of a star-ranking performance. And I think that's fun. I really like that aspect of superhero films. I think that's a really cool way to handle them. Is like, well, the superhero sells the film. You know, the actor... I mean, that's not me saying, you know, big-name actors shouldn't be in these films. Not saying that at all. But I am saying I think it's fun when we discover new actors because of these films. If this film is as good as I think it's going to be, David Cornsweet's going to become a huge name. And I think that's great. And I think it's really cool. I also am a firm believer that Superman cannot be played by someone that is already a big name. Like Matt Damon can't be Superman. It just doesn't work. Superman, you can't have like already an attachment to the actor. Batman, you can. And I know you're probably thinking like, why? I think it's because Bruce Wayne is billionaire, playboy, famous, right? Bruce Wayne has a celebrity quality to him. So it's fine if when you see Bruce Wayne, you're like, oh, that's Christian Bale. Oh, that's Robert Pattinson. Ah, that's George Clooney. Oh, that's George Clooney. Oh, that's Val Kilmer. Oh, that's Michael Keaton. Oh, that's Adam West. Yo, Adam West. It's Burt Ward. Burt Ward is Robin. I love the old... I have the entire 1966 Batman on Blu-ray. I was one of the best Christmas gifts I ever received when I was younger. I absolutely loved those. I used to watch it on Discovery Channel. It used to be called The Hub. Probably an unfortunate channel name, for being honest, in hindsight. But they would run Happy Days and Batman after each other on Saturday mornings, and I was always locked in for that. I loved Happy Days when I was younger. One of the first sitcoms I ever watched. I think maybe the first sitcom I ever watched is Happy Days. I was a big Happy Days guy when I was younger. And then I watched The Batman. I absolutely love The Batman. And my favorite episode was the one where it's just such... Batman, like, fakes being into Catwoman. I don't know why. I guess I just thought it was... I don't know. Maybe I had a crush on Catwoman. I don't know why. That was my favorite episode when I was younger, is when he fakes being into Catwoman. Or maybe he is hypnotized. I forget exactly how it worked. I just thought I was into it. I was like, oh man, that's so dastardly that she tricked him. And Robin like almost gets like buzzsawed because he's doing that. My favorite villain though was the Riddler. I love that Riddler. I forget the actor's name that plays the Riddler, but he is Frank Gorshin. Oh my gosh. He's so good. Such a good Riddler. But I really like that with Superman, they went for somebody nobody knows, and I think that's really going to pay dividends. And I think David Cornsweet's going to kill it. I can't wait. It's going to be great. Trailer blew me away. So excited. I'm sure we're going to talk about this a lot more before the film comes out. I'm willing to bet the next trailer we get is probably the Super Bowl. Probably be getting a Fantastic Four trailer then, too. I won't be watching it. That just hit me. I'll be at the Super Bowl this year. I got to work it. So I'm doing like hospitality work there at the Super Bowl this year. So... oh my gosh, that's wild. Okay, that's funny. All right, I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.